Hi, my name is Matthew Pinsker. I'm a historian, and here are a few things you need to know to sound smart about Fort Sumter. When we think of Fort Sumter, we think about the opening of the Civil War, the first shots fired. This is a fortification in Charleston Harbor, South Carolina. And on April 12, 1861, a bombardment began that did initiate the conflict between the Union and the new Confederate States. But really, this story does begin with the secession crisis. Secession starts in December of 1860 in South Carolina. It's a response to Lincoln's election. The Republicans taking power scares a lot of the slaveholding interests in the South. Ultimately, 7 states will form the Confederacy in early 1861, and they will threaten federal fortifications in different harbors across the Atlantic coast and into the Gulf Coast. Harbors like Charleston, South Carolina, where there are federal fortifications and federal troops. Some say they can't hold the forts in the harbor, so they should withdraw altogether. Others say that they should resupply and reprovision the forts and try to launch an offensive. Then there's a middle way, an idea that perhaps if they offer a humanitarian relief, offer provisions but not arms, they might be able to prevent the Confederates from firing on the fort but still have symbolic hold of the fortification in the harbor. That's what Lincoln decides to do. He notifies the Confederate government, which he still doesn't recognize as legitimate, through back channels that he plans to re-provision the fort with humanitarian supplies. The Confederates decide they're not going to allow this to happen. They consider it an aggressive act against their sovereign claims. And so General Pierre Beauregard orders the surrender of the fort. Major Anderson declines to do so. On April 12th, Beauregard's forces begin a bombardment. It's going to last for about 34 hours. During that bombardment, both sides are firing away at each other. No one is killed. But clearly, Anderson and his men don't have enough provisions, supplies, or armaments to hold out against it, and so Anderson is forced to negotiate a surrender. The Confederates took control of Sumter, and this is what launches the American Civil War.
Young people in large numbers came out and joined what became known as the Red Guards. These largely terroristic organizations were used to publicly humiliate, assault, and in some cases, even murder political enemies of Mao and the Communist Party.